Now, Little King posted this paperwork, right? And here's the thing I don't like about this paperwork. This is an actual case. For those of us that know, we know this is an actual case. Now, let me read this paperwork. King Harris just dropped paperwork showing 50 Cent cooperated with the feds. And the internet is going absolutely crazy right now. We're talking about the same 50C who built his entire career on exposing snitches. The same dude who made Tekashi 699 a walking meme for cooperating. Now King Harris got court documents with 50's name all over them. And Fifth just broke his silence. No cap, this might be the biggest hip-hop scandal of 2024. The man who wrote Many Men and survived 9 shots. The same guy who clowned everyone from Ja Rule to Rick Ross about street credibility is now facing allegations that he told on somebody back in the day. And after King Harris posted those documents, 50 finally responded. And what he said is going to shock you. Let me break down exactly how he got here, because this beef is messier than anyone expected. 50 Cent is hip-hop royalty. The man sold over 30 million albums, survived an assassination attempt, and became a business mogul worth hundreds of millions. His whole brand is built on being untouchable, on keeping it real, on never backing down. But King Harris, TYY's son, just challenged everything 50 stands for. This ain't just some random beef on Instagram. This is about reputation, about street code, about what happens when someone questions your entire legacy. And for 50, who spent 2 decades clowning other rappers for being fake, this hit different. The stakes couldn't be higher because if these allegations stick. It changes how we look at one of hip-hop's most respected figures. To understand how this situation really exploded, we got to go back to where it all started. Let's rewind to early 2024. 50 Cent and T. I had always been cool. 2 legends from different eras who respected each other's hustle. But King Harris, TYY's 19-year-old son, was making moves in the industry, trying to establish his own name. King was active on social media, showing off his lifestyle, his music, and yeah, sometimes acting like a typical teenager with a famous father. That's when 50 started paying attention. Now, 50 Cent has a history of trolling people on Instagram. It's basically his second career at this point, and he's gone after everybody from Diddy to his own son, Mahrez. The man doesn't discriminate when it comes to internet beef. So, when King Harris started posting content that 50 found amusing, 50 did what he always does. He reposted it with some clown emojis and sarcastic comments. At first, it seemed harmless, just 50 being 50, getting his jokes off. King Harris would post something flexing, and 50 would share it to his 30 million followers with a caption like, "This is T.I.'s son," or "The youth is lost," standard internet trolling. But here's where it gets crazy. King Harris wasn't backing down like most people do when 50 comes for them. Instead, the young dude started firing back, telling 50 he was too old to be worried about teenagers, calling him out for being a bully. That's when 50 should have left it alone. But he didn't. Things escalated when 50 Cent started making posts that went beyond just clowning King Harris. He began questioning T.I.'s parenting, suggesting that Tip couldn't control his son, implying that King was soft and didn't have real street credibility. For a minute, T stayed quiet, probably hoping his son and 50 would squash it, but 50 kept pushing. Then 50 crossed a line that you just don't cross in hip-hop. He brought Tiny into it. Tameka, Tiny Harris, T.I.'s wife and King's mother. 50 started posting about Tiny, making comments about her appearance, bringing up old rumors, and basically disrespecting a woman who had nothing to do with the beef. He posted side-by-side photos of Tiny from years ago compared to now, making jokes about plastic surgery and her looks. He even referenced the sexual assault allegations that T and Tiny had faced, which they denied and were never charged for. King Harris saw those posts and lost it. He went on Instagram Live, visibly angry, telling 50 that he crossed the line. "You can say whatever you want about me, but you going to disrespect my mama? Nah, that's different. You just open a door you can't close." Oh man. The live got over 200,000 viewers in real time, with people in the comments going crazy. Some were telling King to chill, that 50 would destroy him. Others were saying King had every right to defend his mother. But here's what really went down. King Harris wasn't just talking. He was preparing something that would change the entire narrative. While 50 kept posting memes and jokes, King was doing research, and what he found would flip this whole situation upside down. The back and forth got intense on social media. 50 Cent, being 50, wasn't backing down. He posted more memes, more jokes, acting like King Harris was just an annoying kid who didn't deserve serious attention. He'd share King's posts with captions like I come get your son, before I really hurt his feelings, and this boy think he tough. King Harris kept responding, getting more and more heated. He posted videos calling 50 a bully, saying the rapper was insecure and had to pick on younger people to stay relevant. You 48 years old worried about a teenager. That's crazy. You're supposed to be a mogul, but you on Instagram all day like a high school girl. The comments were getting thousands of likes, and people were starting to notice that King wasn't intimidated. T eventually addressed it in an interview, saying he respected 50 but wished he'd leave his son alone. King is young. He's learning. He's growing. I don't know why 50 feels the need to keep going at him. That's not the 50 I know. But 50 didn't care. He posted TYY's interview clip, with laughing emojis doubling down on the trolling. Then on March 15th, 2024, King Harris posted something that made the entire internet stop. It was a series of Instagram stories with court documents attached. The caption read, "Since you want to talk about who's real and who's fake, let's talk about what you did in 2005. You're the biggest snitch in hip-hop, and everybody's scared to say it." The documents King posted appear to be from a federal case, and 50 Cent's government name, Curtis Jackson, was all over them. People started screenshotting, immediately sharing the post across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Within an hour, 50 Cent and King Harris were trending worldwide. This wasn't just beef anymore. This was an accusation that could destroy 50's entire reputation. Let me break down exactly what King Harris exposed, because this is where it gets real detailed, and you need to understand the full context. The documents King posted were related to a 2005 federal case involving a man named Kenneth Supreme McGriff. Now, if you know 50 Cent's history, you know Supreme is a major part of his story. Kenneth McGriff was a legendary figure in Queens, New York. He ran the Supreme Team, one of the most notorious drug organizations in the 1980s. By the 2000s, McGriff was trying to go legitimate getting into the music industry, but he had serious beef with 50 Cent. The streets said McGriff was connected to the 2000 shooting where 50 got hit 9 times. 50 survived, and he never forgot. In 2003, 50 Cent released Get Rich or Die Trying and became a superstar. He also released a song called Ghetto Quran that detailed the drug operations of various Queens dealers, including McGriff's Supreme Team. The song named Names, Talk About Money, described operations, basically put people's business in the streets. McGriff was furious. According to federal prosecutors, McGriff allegedly ordered a hit on 50 Cent in retaliation. When that didn't work, he allegedly went after people in 50's circle. In 2002, a man named Eric E. Moneybag Smith was killed. Smith was an associate of Jam J from Run DMC. Then in 2002, Jam J himself was murdered in his Queens studio. Federal investigators believe McGriff was connected to both murders, partly because of his beef with 50 Cent. Here's where the paperwork King Harris posted comes in. The documents showed that in 2005, when federal prosecutors were building their case against Kenneth McGriff, Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, was listed as a cooperating witness. Now, this is important because there's different levels of cooperation. Sometimes witnesses are forced to testify under subpoena. Sometimes they voluntarily provide information. The documents King posted suggested 50 had multiple meetings with federal agents and provided information about McGriff's activities and threats. According to the court filings, 50 Cent met with FBI agents on at least 3 separate occasions between 2003 and 2005. The document stated that Jackson provided information regarding threats made against him by McGriff and his associates. One document specifically mentioned that Curtis Jackson provided detailed account of conversations and incidents involving Kenneth McGriff that corroborated other evidence in the investigation. But here's what made it more damaging. The paperwork showed that 50 wasn't just responding to a subpoena, He had voluntarily met with agents before being officially called to testify. In the street code, there's a difference between being forced to testify in court, where everyone can see you had no choice, versus voluntarily meeting with feds behind closed doors. The documents King posted suggested the latter. One particular document that went viral showed an FBI 302 form. That's the form agents use to document witness interviews. The form, dated August 2005, detailed a meeting where Curtis Jackson provided information about McGriff's involvement in the music industry and his alleged criminal activities. The form noted that Jackson was cooperative and forthcoming and provided valuable intelligence regarding the subject's operations and associations. Another document showed that 50 Cent's testimony and information were used to secure wiretaps on McGriff's phones. In federal cases, judges only approve wiretaps when there's probable cause, and witness testimony is often key to establishing that probable cause. So 50's cooperation wasn't just casual. It was instrumental in building the case against McGriff. King Harris didn't just post the documents and leave it at that. He went on Instagram Live and broke down exactly what they meant. Y'all see this? This the same man who made a whole career off calling people snitches. He destroyed Tekashi's life for cooperating. He clowned gunplay. He went at Ja Rule. He questioned everybody's street cred. But look at this paperwork. Curtis Jackson met with the feds multiple times, voluntarily gave them information, helped them build a case. That's the definition of cooperating. The live stream got over 500,000 viewers, with people flooding the comments. Some were defending 50, saying he had a right to protect himself after being shot 9 times. Others were saying it didn't matter. If you cooperate with the feds, you're a snitch. Period. The debate was intense. King continued, "I ain't making this up. These are federal court documents, public record. Y'all can look this up yourselves. Case number 05CR00539, United States versus Kenneth McGriff. Go read it." Curtis Jackson is listed as a witness who provided information to federal agents. And before y'all say he was subpoenaed and had no choice, read the dates. He was meeting with them before he was officially called to testify. That's voluntary cooperation. The documents also revealed something else that made the situation more complicated. In 2008, when McGriff's case went to trial, 50 Cent initially refused to testify in open court. He claimed he feared for his safety and didn't want to be labeled a snitch. The judge threatened to hold him in contempt. Eventually, 50's lawyers worked out a deal where his previous statements of federal agents would be entered as evidence, but he wouldn't have to testify in person. This meant the jury heard his cooperation, but he avoided the public spectacle of being on the witness stand. King Harris pointed this out. 2. See, he gave the feds all the information they needed, but then tried to avoid testifying in public because he knew how it would look. He wanted to help the feds, but not get caught doing it. That's even worse, for real. At least own what you did. The paperwork showed specific details that 50 had provided. According to the FBI 3002 forms, Curtis Jackson told agents about meetings where McGriff allegedly discussed drug operations. He provided information about McGriff's associates and their roles in the organization. He detailed threats that were made against him and explained the context of his song Ghetto Koran and why it angered McGriff. All of this information was used by prosecutors to establish motive, opportunity, and McGriff's ongoing criminal enterprise. One document that particularly stood out showed that 50 Cent had provided information about McGriff's finances, including how he was allegedly laundering drug money through music industry investments. This type of financial intelligence is exactly what federal prosecutors need to build RICO cases, and 50's cooperation was cited multiple times in the government's case filings. Kenneth McGriff was eventually convicted in 2007 on murder for higher charges and sentenced to life in prison. The conviction was based on multiple witnesses and evidence. But 50 Cent's cooperation was a significant part of the prosecution's case. The judge specifically mentioned in the sentencing that witness testimony about McGriff's threats and ongoing criminal activities demonstrated he was a danger to the community. For about 48 hours after King Harris posted the documents, 50 Cent was silent. That's unusual for someone who's usually on Instagram every few hours. People were speculating that his lawyers told him to stay quiet or that he was figuring out how to respond. The silence made it worse because it looked like 50 had no answer. Then on March 17th, 50 finally responded. He posted a video on Instagram addressing the situation directly. Y'all really think I'm worried about some paperwork from 20 years ago? Let me explain something to you kids who don't understand how the real world works. When someone tries to kill you, and I mean really tries to kill you, shoots you 9 times, and leaves you for dead, you have every right to protect yourself. The feds came to me. I didn't go to them. They had a case already. They asked me questions about threats against my life. That's not snitching. That's survival. He continued. Kenneth McGriff tried to have me murdered multiple times. He killed people around me. You think I'm supposed to just stay quiet and let him keep trying? Nah. I did what I had to do to protect myself and my family. And for the record, I never testified in court. I never sat on a witness stand and pointed at nobody. The feds use information I gave them about threats against me. That's different. 50 then went directly at King Harris. And this kid, T.I.'s son, talking about some paperwork he found on the internet. You wasn't even born when this happened. You don't know nothing about what I went through. You living off your daddy's name. Posting on Instagram thinking you tough. I survived the streets. I survived getting shot 9 times. I built an empire. What have you done? You're 19 years old with no accomplishments talking about me. That's crazy. The response got millions of views within hours. People were divided. Some felt 50 made valid points. That protecting yourself after an assassination attempt isn't the same as snitching on your own crew. Others argued that 50 had spent years destroying other people's reputations for cooperating with law enforcement, so he couldn't claim a special exception for himself. King Harris responded quickly with another Instagram Live. Now he want to explain it. Now he want to give context. But when it was Takashi, when it was anybody else, he didn't care about context. He didn't care about reasons. He just called them rats and destroyed their careers. You can't have it both ways. Either cooperating with the feds is wrong or it's not. You don't get to decide when it's okay based on if it's you or someone else. King made another strong point, and he's saying he never testified in court like that makes it better. Bro, you met with FBI agents multiple times. You gave them detailed information. You helped them build their case. The only reason you didn't testify in person is because you didn't want people to see you do it. That's not better, that's worse. You wanted to help the feds, but hide it from the public. The debate spread across social media. Hip-hop personalities started weighing in. Some defended 50, saying the situation with McGriff was unique because it involved multiple murder attempts. Others said the street code doesn't have exceptions. If you talk to the feds, you're a snitch regardless of the circumstances. 50 posted again, this time getting more aggressive. King Harris, you really want to keep going? I'll expose everything about your family. I'll show the world what T.I. really is. I'll show what your mama really did. You think you did something by posting old paperwork? I got current information that'll destroy your whole family legacy. Try me. That threat seemed to cross another line. Now, 50 wasn't just defending himself. He was threatening to expose T and Tiny's personal business. T.I. finally stepped to more forcefully posting 50, you my brother. But you threatening my family now over some Instagram beef with my son. That's not how we move. Let's talk man to man, not on social media. As of now, the situation is still developing. The paperwork King Harris exposed is real. Multiple journalists and hip-hop investigators have verified the court documents exist and show 50 Cent's cooperation with federal agents in the Kenneth McGriff case. Whether you consider that snitching depends on your perspective and your understanding of street code, what's undeniable is the hypocrisy angle. 50 Cent built a significant part of his post-career on trolling and exposing other people for cooperating with law enforcement. He made Tekashi 69's cooperation a global joke, creating countless memes and posts. He questioned the credibility of multiple rappers over the years. Now that his own cooperation has been highlighted, his defense is that his situation was different. That's a tough position to maintain when you've shown no mercy to others. The hip-hop community is split. Older heads who remember the McGriff situation and the attempts on 50's life tend to be more understanding. They argue that 50 was a victim defending himself, not a criminal cooperating against his own crew. Younger fans and street code purists argue that talking to the feds is talking to feds regardless of circumstances. King Harris has gained significant respect for standing up to 50 Cent and backing up his claims with actual documentation. Whether you agree with him or not, he did his research and presented evidence. He didn't just talk, he showed receipts. That's earned him credibility in a situation where many expected 50 to completely destroy him. T is in a difficult position, caught between his son and someone he's considered a friend in the industry. He's trying to de-escalate while also protecting his family from 50's threats to expose more information. 50 Cent's reputation has taken a hit, but let's be real, the man has survived worse. He's been shot bankrupt and involved in countless beefs. His core fan base will likely stick with him. But the snitch label is hard to shake in hip-hop, and this situation has definitely damaged the moral high ground he used to claim when going after others. The bigger question is what this means for hip-hop culture. For years, cooperating with law enforcement has been considered the ultimate violation of street code. But as hip-hop has become more mainstream and more corporate, those lines have blurred. Many successful rappers have had to deal with law enforcement in various ways. The conversation King Harris started is forcing the culture to examine its own contradictions and double standards. No cap, this is one of the wildest beefs of 2024, and it's not over yet. 50 Cent isn't the type to just let something go, and King Harris has shown he's willing to keep pushing. The paperwork is out there now, public record that anyone can verify. Whether it changes how people view 50C long-term remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, King Harris did what most people thought was impossible. He actually got under 50 Cent's skin and made him play defense. That's something even Ja Rule couldn't.